Hi everyone and welcome to the Good Woo. This is your video about the new moon on July 20th. It's exact at 10:32 Pacific Standard Time. This new moon is what we call a black moon because it is the second new moon in the sign of Cancer in the solar month. So the previous new moon that we had, which was on the summer solstice, June 21st, was at 0 degrees of Cancer. This black new moon is, I believe, the 28th degree of Cancer. So this is what we consider a black moon. And what it means is that this new moon is extra potent, extra powerful. Where new moons are always seeding points, beginnings, this particular new moon is really going to be impactful. It could create massive changes in your life, a total restructuring. So this is interesting because this is similar to eclipse energy, which we've just had 3 of in a row. The last one being on July 5th. In some ways, we have a similar eclipse energy on this new moon. So in reality, we're having 4 lunations, bam, 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 that are restructuring what we want, our lives, changing our lives in ways we have no control over. Obviously, it's all eventually for the better, I do believe that, but it's change that you may not see coming and change that will really shift. You'll be able to look back and be like, wow, 2020 shifted everything. Well, we know that, right? So here we have this parallel between the meanings of the lunations and what is actually happening. So I want to, first of all, thank you, Sarah Vargas and Angie Benacki, for turning me on to this Black Moon philosophy, idea, and information, because this is something that I actually hadn't heard of yet, because this actually only happens every 2.5 to 3 years. And thus far, I've not heard of this. So it's powerful and it's potent. And whereas maybe on that summer solstice new moon, you may have tried to create intentions or start things and it's just not picking up, it's not getting off the ground, you're not seeing the results you want, it's this new moon on July 20th that may give you that oomph and that change and that momentum that you were waiting for. Now, the next time we will have a black moon is March of 2023. So this is interesting that this lunation is really going to be powerfully impacting our lives up until that point. This is its phase until March of 2023. Now, for those of you who aren't that familiar with astrology, I just want to break down what the sign of Cancer and the way that the other planets affect this new moon, break it down for you guys so you're really clear about what we're working with in this next black moon phase. Now, black moon is also different from the dark moon. The dark moon phase is basically 4 to 5 days before the new moon is exact. So basically, we're kind of in it now. As we lead up from a full moon to a new moon, it is a period of release. And as we move to that new moon, those few days right before is intense release, where you don't want to initiate new things, right? So from now until, I think it's Monday is the 20th, you don't want to initiate new things. This is a time to let go, clean out the closets, exfoliate, fast, cleanse, break up, end things. Write letters to, grudge points and resentments and burn them. Letting go, releasing, surrendering. It's a time where you need to drink lots of water, get lots of rest, do those salt baths, do the salt scrubs, swim in the ocean, get out into nature and listen. It's a time of internal balancing so that when the new moon comes, you're clear about what it is you're setting forth energetically for the next phase. And we know for this one, it's not just the next 2 weeks after the new moon we're setting intentions for. This is really a 3-year phase that we're going to be setting intentions for. Now, the sign of Cancer is a sign of the mother, the nurturer, the feminine nurturing quality. And we all have it in our chart. And we all have a feminine within us, as we have a masculine within us, as we have the inner child, as we have the sage or the crone or the, you know, the magic person, the wizard. So there is a high vibe and a low vibe, right? To every sign, to every planet, to every celestial event. And what we want to do is max out that high vibe and mitigate the lower vibe. So the lower vibe of this Cancer energy would be codependency, right? Being so entangled with someone that it defines your value, how someone needs you being how you value yourself. And we know that codependency always leads to broken hearts and expectations and disappointments being, you know, expectations being crushed and disappointments proliferating. So it's not just codependency with people, but it asks us to look at our relationship to food, our relationship to alcohol, to any bad habit, to our phones, to technology, to our relationship to emotions being addictive, right? Worry being addictive, anger being addictive, holding on to resentment being addictive. It's all patterns. So this is asking us to look at our relationship with our feelings and how we express them, and what we put into our body. How are we nurturing our body? How are we caring for ourselves? Now, when we aren't caring for ourselves, we run into guilt and shame, right? Even if it's not a conscious thing, it comes up subconsciously, and it can result in illness and conflict within our lives. So I'll link the guilt and shame video here, because it's important that we are looking at our relationship with guilt and shame, and the relationship between how we care for ourselves or how we don't care for ourselves, and the amount of guilt and shame we're carrying. This moon is in a oppositional aspect to the planet Saturn, and in a larger orb, Pluto and Jupiter. So what we begin on this new moon, I would say make sure that your primary intention is one of self-care and self-love and self-nurturance. Because the moon and the sun are in a part of the sky that is actually quite magical and beneficial, and could lead to great good fortune and ultimate success in whatever you begin. But because of the aspects to the other planets, it is going to require discipline, unlike you've ever known. And it's interesting because self-care and self-love, sometimes it's not so fun, especially when you're beginning it. And it takes discipline, and it takes fortitude. So whatever you begin will be successful, but it's going to entail hard work that feels good, and hard work that pays off, right? May not always be fun. Now also, this lunation calls to us to really embrace maturity. And what is maturity? And yes, there's that inner child part of ourselves, but there is also that internal father and that internal mother. And how do we relate to these internal parts of ourselves? Whether you have a child or not, this is about your relationship to yourself. How are you parenting yourself? It has been the question really of the last 3 years. You may not be. And this moon is going to really highlight the fact that you must be your internal mother and father. You must be your father. You must be your mother to achieve the goals that you want, and to really create the life that you're dreaming of. Now, there is a beneficial connection between Mars and Venus during this lunation, and this is great because this actually helps us marry the internal feminine and the internal masculine. So in a way, it's like these internal parents within ourselves are going to have an easier time working together, right? The father that gives us the structure, that helps us identify how we move out into the world, and the mother, which creates our sense of safety and our sense of comfort. These forces within us will have a better chance of working harmoniously together because Venus and Mars are in the sky helping each other. This also leads me to point out that this moon could seed benevolence in our relationships, a real sense of setting an intention for peace in your relationships, for harmonious relationships to thrive. And as we know, to have harmonious relationships, to have a successful relationship, it requires discipline, because it's only going to be as fantastic as the energy that you put into it. And it requires maturity, because you can't be flying off the handle at the person you're trying to create a harmonious relationship with. So there could be a lot of beautiful developments in relationships that this 2.5 to 3 year phase could deliver for us if we set that intention, if we're mature and disciplined in how we express our emotions and feelings within the relationships we're in. So much of the problems we face with each other is because we aren't parenting ourselves. We don't walk ourselves through our feelings. We sort of abandon ourselves and like go for the thing that will numb it, or just lash out and then create that guilt and shame for ourselves because we weren't in mastery of these feelings and emotions. Well, this time and this phase that this lunation will seed is going to give us an opportunity to do better and to really be the person we are meant to be benevolently in our relationships. Now, this could also bring up issues with your own mother and father, or if you are a parent, it could help you see where you need to be more disciplined and you need to course correct how you are expressing your emotions in your home or with your co-parent, or your wife or your husband or whoever you're parenting with. It really signals a time that there's a benevolent aspect to Neptune, and so it really focuses on peace being what we all truly want. Peaceful, harmonious connection to ourselves, to the people that we love and the people that we must work with, and infinite spirit itself. So there's 3 layers to this. What is our relationship with Creator, which is, I don't know about you, but raised in a very conservative Christian home, it was like this Father God idea. That relationship, what is a relationship that we have to this parental figure of God, Creator, Source, right? And it is 2 energies. It's a male and female energy, both. Then what is our relationship to our relationships with others? And where do we need to be more disciplined and mature in these relationships to really get where we want to get? To be able to go to bed at night and be like, yeah, I was my best self. I contributed to making this world a better place today because I handled my shit in a respectful way. Then next is how we go in and discover and relate to the internal mother and the internal father in us. Now, a lot of times these internal parts of ourselves can sound like that critical voice. I know for me, and working with archetypes and in internal energy, my internal parental voices were not so kind because of what I witnessed in my home. This phase and this new moon gives us the opportunity to go in there and change that. So I will be making a video about how to connect to the internal parents, and I hope to get to that this week before the new moon so that you guys will be able to do that meditation, perhaps even on the day of the new moon, and really seed a potent intention to rise to the occasion of these changes that are so out of our control, but that are bringing in new desires for self-mastery, new desires for benevolent, harmonious connection. And it all starts with our relationship with ourself. And it starts with this admitting that that's what you want. And it's okay to say, hey, I haven't been great at this up until now, and I want to get better. Emotional mastery, self-mastery is a lifelong process and journey. It is the lifelong vision quest. And it's okay that we may not be there yet, but that desire, that inspiration to want to be better to ourselves, to want to be better to the people in our lives, both those we've chosen to be in our life and those we have no choice that are in our life. And to want a deeper, more fulfilling connection with whatever it is that holds us in this sphere of energetic soup that we exist in. So this new moon is powerful. And it ends this eclipse season in many ways, although these eclipses and this black moon reverberate into our future. It's these seed points that really matter. So take these days leading up to this new moon to get clear. Clean out what you need to clean out so that when it rolls around on Monday, you're crystal clear about what you're calling in. And remember, whatever you do on these powerful, powerful lunations, those days, whatever you do, you will get more of. So it's a day to do things, be with people that you want more of. So yes, it's a great time to stop doing things that hurt yourself and hurt other people. And it's a wonderful time to aim high. Everything great, every great goal we have takes discipline, maturity, fortitude, and patience, right? That's how we learn to value things as humans. That which comes for free, we don't often value. But that which we have to work for or pay for or, plan and work on, those are the things we tend to cherish. Thank you all so much for viewing. Thank you for the likes and the subscriptions, and thank you so much for the thank you donations. I have a few spots left in the month of July for client sessions. I always recommend to clients that you begin with a sacred sitting. You can go to my website, thegoodwoo.org, and there are testimonials next to the services menu where you can read how people have been impacted. This is an amazing time to reach out for help and for guidance, especially with this comet Neowise coming in. There is new wisdom, new inspiration, new information to help you make these changes, set these intentions, and really create the life you know you deserve.